Welcome back to the Upper Tier Podcast, the football podcast we bring you each and every week on the Dynamo Podcast Network. Head over to YouTube, smash that subscribe and bell notification button. Audio versions of the show are also available on Anchor. And if you want to get in touch with the show, you'll find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Joining me tonight, Real Madrid won, Chelsea won. Alex, how are you, my man?
Good, thanks, man. It's I feel a bit strange though. Like I predicted before the game, I said I think it'll end 1-1. I would have taken a 1-1, but kind of with the way the game went, about 20 minutes in, I was thinking to myself, we're gonna bloody win this. But yeah, I mean, it's a good result to take back to London next week.
Good. And also joining us tonight, the Podfather, who looks like he's ready to be subbed on by Tuchel with all that merchandise on him, like a walking merchandise store. How are you, Ian?
Well, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Don't worry.
Can you hear me? I'm going Hulk Hogan 1980s on this bad boy. Yeah, I'm in my blue and white. You know, I still always have respect for my old Spanish counterparts, Real Madrid. So I thought that'd be nice to kind of, you know, wear the Chelsea version of the Real Madrid jersey, just out of respect.
Absolutely.
Real Madrid. Very, very interesting one for me because, as you know, Noel, I've always been a big Madrid fan. But don't get me wrong. Let's not get this wrong here. There's only one team I'm cheering for when it's Juventus, Celtic, fucking Real Madrid, or any of these teams playing Chelsea. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Actually, it's raw. It's right after the game, so two Chelsea boys ready to chat about this.
I don't know about you, but I'm surprised I didn't rip my vocal cords after that Pulisic goal. What a goal! He made an absolute mockery of the whole defence.
Yeah. I suppose before we get into the goals, lads, it's absolutely refreshing to be smiling again and talking about football, isn't it? And not that ESL rubbish, you know.
Hell yeah.
So that's refreshing to start with. Before we get into the goals, lads, Ian, lineup, Chelsea lineup, happy, indifferent.
Yeah, I was happy. I mentioned off air there that I was hoping Kovacic would be back before the game. No disrespect to Kante, I just felt that like I love N'Golo Kante, you know that. But I just felt that Kovacic with Jorginho, I think that's probably our best pivot partnership, just because they know each other so well. I think they complement each other well. I just think Kovacic is a much better passer of the ball than Kante, especially in the O-zone, if you will. In offensive kind of positions, I think he's a lot better. But he can also break up play as well. I think Kovacic has kind of grown, and I believe honestly Kovacic has been again this in certain parts of the season since Tuchel came in anyway, probably been our best midfielder, much like he was last year. But also Kante has just fucking grown into the old Kante as well. Yeah. So I could see why he was in there. But yeah, no, I was happy with the lineup. The only thing I was a little bit kind of I'm not sure of is we're kind of blessed at the moment with defensive choices, and I would have probably liked to see Reece James start on the right and Azpilicueta on the right hand side of that tree. Yeah. I think that's where Azpilicueta has been like John Terry basically all year. You can actually see Azpilicueta starting to put it up to players and all now that you never. He's looking like a Chelsea captain to me.
Yeah.
I don't know how Alex feels about it, but he never and the vibe I get on Twitter as well that people have always been since Terry is gone and Azpilicueta has been captain. He's never showed that real leadership skills until Tuchel has come in. And no disrespect to Frank, but because he's playing in that position that Kante basically handpicked for him. Conte, should I say, picked for him when he came in. I think that's his best position, and I think he's going to get another 5-6 years out of his career playing in that position. But other than that, other than the Christensen for Azpilicueta, I was pretty happy with the lineup. I saw the reasoning behind playing Werner in the middle because those, and we, if Timo had a bit of confidence, good Lord, we probably could have won 3-0 tonight. But look, that's neither here nor there. I think we saw why he picked that front three, and I was very happy with the lineup. I think Chilwell has obviously worked his way into Tuchel's plans now, which is good to see. I think a lot of people probably thought Chilwell wouldn't get much luck under Tuchel because Alonso was playing so well, but I think we're starting to see Chilwell grow into that role now as well. So Yeah, happy with the lineup.
Yeah, I think his relationship with Mount on that side is outstanding now. They've got that understanding down now at this stage, haven't they?
Oh.
Alex, with Aspa at the moment, he seems to have upped his fitness as well. In that first half, he kind of tortured Marcello, didn't he? And Marcello's a speed demon. Like it's not easy. Like he was outrunning him and putting balls by him and everything and all, which was very, very impressive. I've spoken even last week on a number of shows saying how impressed I've been with Aspilicueta since Tuchel's arrival.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Yeah, he has indeed, and like I agree with Ian, he really is looking more like a Chelsea captain now. I do agree that his best position is at a right centre back because I know he played there for a couple of seasons under Conte, but then when Sarri came in, he was switched to right back. He was those couple of years older, and he was kind of more used to playing in that back three. So he hadn't quite got the legs he had before. Plus, he was trying to, I suppose, get back to his original position. Yeah, look, I thought tonight personally, I would have started Reece James ahead of him as well. Like he was very good going forward with Marcelo, but once or twice he was caught for pace with Vinicius Jr. I thought Vinicius, we got by him very easy kind of once or twice. And that's just, Vinicius is a very fast player. But when you saw Reece James come on, I don't know, he just seemed a bit more solid over there. Like he was stopping a lot of crosses and a lot more coming. He was even getting off to the left as well. I almost think Tuchel did that to counter and bringing on Hazard as well. But it feels so weird to say somebody else bringing on Hazard, doesn't it?
No.
But it's a case of, I think the reason he went with Aspi tonight, and the one thing I would say Aspi is very superior to Reece James with is the final ball, the final third. Sometimes Reece James's crossing can be a bit of right. We saw that coming on. He was getting into a good position, but his crosses weren't the best. But sometimes when Reece James get the ball, he's got a terrible habit of he'll get the ball, but he'll go back. Like he'll get the ball, he pass back to the defense, stuff like that. So I think it's a strange one. I think Aspilicueta gives you a lot more going forward, but
they've almost swapped roles, haven't they? Because under Sarri, Aspilicueta was doing that, and it was actually wrecking my fucking head. Like it was like he'd constantly go back, and then you saw James come on, and like James is a hell of a crosser of the ball, but I think those crosses only come to fruition when you've got a big man on the pitch like a Giroud or a Tammy. You probably agree with that, Alex. But
of course, and I'll credit though to
got the crosses again, yeah.
Oh yeah, but I'll credit that to Aspie because if you look at his tenure at Chelsea. And since he's come in 2013, so we're talking, 9 years now. He's played all across that back four or back three. Like he's played in every position, and I think done an outstanding job in every position.
Yeah. Even left back, fill in left back for almost 2 seasons, almost.
Yeah.
The way, lads, that second half kind of pittered out, as we say, because it kind of got a bit nasty. More so on Madrid's side than Chelsea's side. I think Chelsea's nastiness came out as a kind of a counter to Madrid's nastiness in the game. There was kind of a few feet and a few studs being left in there big time, Was there a case in the last 15 minutes for a Giroud to go in there and annoy that forward, that back line?
I think so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially when you were having some joy down the wings and stuff like that, and the potential for corners to come in and crosses to come in. You know what I mean? I thought Giroud would have been in there, and like his record in the Champions League campaign this year has been phenomenal. You know what I mean?
I would have definitely. I was calling for that personally. I mean, I was happy with the Havertz sub. I thought Havertz he definitely controlled the ball up front a little bit better than Timo did, but it would have been nice to have Havertz playing off someone like Giroud.
Yeah.
I think he probably should have brought Giroud and Havertz on rather than Havertz and Ziyech. I don't think Ziyech really added much to the game. Ziyech has been in a bit of form, and I think Tuchel's kind of happy with how Ziyech has kind of come through his bad patch, and there's no way. I think you probably would have been saying Ziyech was first on the list of the new signings to go because he was kind of like the cheapest of the lot. But I think now, I don't see any of those signings being sold next year. To be honest with you, I think they're both there. But yeah, I think Giroud would have been perfect because I think he would have manhandled any of that back three. To be honest, we know Varane is a bit of a Rolls Royce type player. He doesn't like the fight, even though he's 6'2", 6'3". He doesn't really like it being put up against him. I think your man Militao he looks like he's able to kind of get a bit of a red card in him as well. Going on to your Marcello point, I thought Marcello was lucky. If you go by the letter of the law, he was lucky to kind of still be on the pitch. He got about 3. Yeah. He got away with about 3 fouls in the space of 10 minutes. Yeah. I don't know whether you were watching that at the start of the second half before he finally got a yellow. I think the ref, in fairness to him, he done a good job in the game trying to kind of keep it you know, he was trying to just give a little bit of leeway because it was a semi-final with no fans there, and I think the ref has to be commended on it. But you know, on any other week he could have seen. I mean, it's the same with your man Adriozola. Like, he literally just pushed Chilwell in the chest.
Yeah.
In the penalty area, like in the first half. Like, if that was in the Premier League next week, you're calling for a penalty, right? Because he's not looking at the ball at all. But I suppose I wasn't calling for that foul too much because I did think it was officiated well. I thought there was enough respect in the match between the two teams. It was, I know what you're saying, Noel, it was a little bit nasty, but I think it was nothing too bad. I think Real were trying to probably draw Chelsea out. A lot of those players still have that Mourinho-esque kind of bitchiness in them when they want to. And, you know, I think they were trying to get Chelsea into a bit of a dogfight.
We've seen it though in the last kind of three ties, like against Atletico, against Porto, and against Real. You're seeing kind of that, you know, I suppose almost Mediterranean kind of like, you know, let's get in and let's, you know, try and antagonize the opposition. But like, our lads are having absolutely none of it. Like, I actually loved the first couple of minutes. I think it might have been the first minute of the game. I think it was like, I think it was Modric was on the ball. He was doing whatever. Mason Mount came in and just bars them off the ball and floored them. In the first minute, I was sitting there going, yeah, come on, Mason. Like, show them they're in the game.
Yeah, Rudiger as well looks like he loves cleaning lads out, doesn't he? He absolutely puts them nearly into the dugout, like, you know.
Can we commend him on that run in the 87th minute before he got taken?
He nearly got concussed over.
I honestly think Rudiger is he's probably the most improved player, I think, under Tuchel. Mentioned as, see, I don't think the reason I wouldn't put Azpilicueta as the most improved player, I think we knew what he's capable of. I think where Azpilicueta has improved in is his leadership ability. Yeah. I think Tuchel's drawn that out of him and shown, look, you can be the John Terry of this team, and I think that's what we're seeing. He's kind of got he's tapped into his kind of darker side a little bit to be a bit more physical and be a bit more kind of aggressive. Whereas I think Rudiger actually looks now like one of the best centre backs on the planet at the moment, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and it's such a 180 because like he was a man that we thought was like done with Chelsea. Like when Frank was the coach, we were thinking, you know, he's out. Like I was pretty sure he was going to be sold in January, and it was a case of even when he played, he didn't look confident. Like the last Premier League game under Frank, where we lost 2-0 to Leicester, he looked all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
But since I would completely agree with you, since Tuchel's come in, Rudiger has become our best defender. Like there's no two ways about it. He's been an absolute tank. Like as soon as you're on the pitch, like, and as you rightly pointed out, what centre half do you see picks the ball up in the 89 minutes and says, right, watch this, and sprints the whole pitch near to the edge of their box. He's an absolute machine. And it's incredible. Like he doesn't seem to have a weakness right now. You know, in the air he's unbelievable. You know, his tackling is great, his physicality, and his, you know, bursting out from the back, and his passing. Like I mean, the passing
his
for the
passing
first
has
goal
improved so much, man. Like yeah, I think it's an honourable mention as well to Thiago Silva. His name wasn't mentioned much tonight, but like that's a good thing as a centre back. All the little things he does, he just calms that back line down.
Yeah.
You know, that experience that he has is just, it's so pivotal, I think, to that back line. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah, I think looking across the board, there's been a level of improvement when you look at it, you know, across the starting 11 or the whole squad. I think everyone has generally upped their game. I mean, if you fire back to the Lampard time when you're seeing things were a bit sort of shaky and all over the place and stuff, like nearly half your starting lineup tonight was kind of all over the place back then, and they've all improved greatly. Like the difference in Pulisic as a player and all, he went through a real bad form. He was outstanding tonight when he was running at their defence, you know.
Unbelievable.
And actually outstanding to the point where he wasn't selfish, because I mean he should have pinged a few of them himself. He shouldn't have even been thinking about putting Werner in, to be honest.
Yeah,
I mean a couple of those ones where he ran onto the 18-yard box, he should have just switched and buried it. Like, you know what I mean? So
the Americans are all having, and I know a lot of American people watch the show, but they were literally jizzing in their pants because I was watching the CBS stream, and you know, he's Captain America to them. He's their superstar. I
sent you that as well. I think I sent you. I sent you that as we scored as he scored.
Yeah. Because I sent you Captain America.
Yeah. I sent you the picture of it was Captain America in Endgame with the Thor hammer with somebody shot the Chelsea jersey onto him.
I know. I'm gonna keep that.
I mean, he's been on a different planet. And For the goal as well, I saw a great thing online about the goal, because the way he did that, bringing around Courtois and finish, and getting in between the two defenders. I saw a great one of people literally got the ball, looked up, saw it Werner, and says, "I'll do it myself."
Well, it was funny because I looked at that and it was weird. You know, the way you have that one player, like for Liverpool, they have, a Salah, and if they're in that kind of position, especially if they're on form, that it's going in. I had that as soon as I saw him take around that defender, I was like, this is in.
It almost went in
It's
slow
weird,
motion.
the subconscious,
Yeah, it was kind of like slow motion. I was kind of sitting there going, as soon as he got it in, like I just felt this calm and was like, yeah, this is going to be a goal. Like there's no way he's going to miss this. And Pulisic, for me, we've seen it last season, we've seen it now. It just seems that at this point of the season, when, as I suppose, the quote unquote business end and things are getting serious, he just becomes a different player. He just switches.
You know what he's like? He's like one of those American players, like in hockey and in basketball. They always have these guys that step it up in the playoffs. Like they have quiet like regular seasons, but then when it comes to the playoffs or whatever, all of a sudden they just turn it up a notch. Yeah. And I was like, I'm okay with that. Yeah. Right? If Pulisic is not going to be a 50-goal player all season, grand. Let him get his injuries out of the way in the early season, because good Lord, that's 4 goals in 6 games. Yeah. I would dare say that next week, Real Madrid, now that they've actually experienced them firsthand, are going to be terrified of him. And we know that Zidane isn't a tactician, right?
Yeah.
He's more of he's trying to play around with formations and all now. I think after seeing Pulisic firsthand tonight, he's going to be like, right, what do we do? Do we try and take them out? Grand, try and take them out, because that's great. Because I mean, how many yellow cards did Real get tonight? Like 6, 7.
Yeah, I was
we
also
saw that though. Sorry, no, I was going to say we saw that with the second leg against Porto. Once they had a look at Pulisic, they kicked the legs off him. I think he was fouled 11 times the second leg against Porto.
Yeah, I thought that move in the first half where he picked the ball up just inside your own half and he literally scooped the ball up and jumped in between. I think it was Kroos and Modric, and just went through the two of them. And the next thing, there was this massive gap between the midfield and Real's defense, and he just tore up the ground and ran at them. And like, I was just saying, go on, hit it. Don't put someone in. Just hit it yourself. You've done the work yourself. You've earned the opportunity. And then I think he put the ball wide, didn't he? It was too wide for Werner.
He overhit the pass out to the right.
He overhit the pass out to the right, which was unfortunate for Werner. But that the build up to that move was unbelievable. He just left our midfield for dead, which is.
And the thing is, I've watched. I know people are going on about it, but I've watched the replay of the Werner chance. Look, he had one chance to hit it first time. You have to hit them first time. Your luck is either with you or it's against you. Thibaut Courtois, right, he's a snaky bastard as well, by the way. Fuck you, Courtois. But at the same time, he's a monster of a man. Like, that was actually a great save. That was a Peter Schmeichel save back in the day where he just got the leg to it. Timo didn't do anything wrong there. I mean, you go, all right, if Timo had scored 5 goals in the last 5 games, you'd go, unlucky, son. It's just one of those things where you're going, but this guy has had like 20 plus goal involvements this season. Like this isn't Alvaro Morata. You didn't sign him just to be your centre forward and be, your next, Brazilian Ronaldo. He's contributing to the team and he doesn't stop. And that's kind of, as a fan, you appreciate that. I do anyway.
Yeah, like Werner kind of reminds me of when we had Fernando Torres, in the sense that, like, he might not score every game, like his goal return might not be great, but he never stops running and, like, he never stops contributing to goals. You'll always see him chasing a dead ball. You'll always see him laying it off for a teammate. You'll always see him with Morata. He was the ultimate. He just used to wander around the pitch sulking for 90 minutes, and that was the difference.
He was a pussy, yeah. And
he didn't have the mentality, I think, for him. Like, that was the thing. Yeah. Like, I mean, like, at least with Verne, like, you see, he is putting in the effort. Like, I'll be honest, that chance, I know we hit it quick and I hit it at Courtois, but it broke my heart. I was like, oh God, if that had gone in. But, like, I mean, he's played pretty well. Like, you saw the game against City a couple of weeks ago in the semi-final, laid it off for Ziyech for the goal. Same in the second leg against Atletico, laid it off for Ziyech. So he is creating a lot of chances for his teammates.
Scored the winner at the weekend too. On
there you
paper,
go.
It doesn't matter about the missed chance. 1-0, baby.
Absolutely. Very important goal as well. Took it very well. Took it first time right into the goal. Nice finish. But, yeah, like, I mean, he's the kind of player I think that's been unlucky as well. I think there was a stat in the Premier League. He hit the post, I think, was it 5 or 6 times as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think he has, I'm not sure how many Premier League goals he has. Like, I think he had maybe 5 or 6 there at one point, but if they go in...
I think he's got like 12 or 13 goals for the season, so I don't think it's mad.
But if you consider those ones that have hit the post, though, 12 or 13, and like, I know you missed a penalty, but 12 or 13, all of a sudden if you change that to 17, 18, it looks a lot different. So I think he's been unlucky, but he's contributed.
First season syndrome. It happens. But Noel, I suppose you're the host, so I don't mind you like throwing in some Madrid stuff as well. Because I mean, I will take my hat off to one Karim Benzema.
Absolutely.
What a goal!
We'll get into Madrid now in a minute. With Werner, lads, I mean, I suppose that the only frustrating thing is the ones that he misses are the ones you would expect him to put away. And I think it's that expectation. And I think the problem is he came in with a huge reputation from the Bundesliga. And the problem is, as we well know, scoring 30 goals in the Bundesliga doesn't translate to anything in the Premier League. In terms of the level and the difficulty and everything else, you know, and we've seen it before with players that have come in from the Bundesliga in the past who've literally amounted to nothing, you know what I mean? So it's not surprising, but it's encouraging that Tuchel is trying to work him through this period of his career. And we mentioned it the other night. You know, his man management is outstanding insofar as, like, you know, there's probably a call tonight to say that the form that Ziyech was in, he should start, but yet he puts him on the bench. He doesn't use Giroud, which probably, you know, in hindsight, you might want to bring him on for 10 or 15 minutes at the end. He might cause mayhem or something like that, you know. But Tuchel's man management has been outstanding insofar as none of these players seem to be getting upset. Like even the talk 6 or 8 weeks ago when Pulisic was going through a tough time, you know, he was being linked with different teams and a move away and all this. You know, Tuchel has dampened that down so quick, and he has, like, Havertz is coming back to form. Werner is finding a little bit of form, a little bit of involvement, even though it's that chance tonight. You know, Ziyech looks a different player. You know, these different players that he's working with, Kante, but he's had that kind of understanding with them to understand that, look, it's kind of like wrapping an arm around them and go, you know how good you are. You know where your place is in this team. Everyone has a place in this squad. We're going to need you all. We need that bit more, if you like. And I think he sees what we see in Werner, but just it's going to take just that little bit more time to coax it out. And as we've spoken a million times on this show, a pre-season will be unbelievable for the Chelsea squad.
And one player, I think, in the summer, he has to put his arm around and get on side and say, look, I want you in my plans. I want you in the same. One player I really want to see him do that to was Fikayo Tomori. I think it's so important he puts his arm around him.
I think he's gone, dude.
I hope not. Look, I mean, I know he's having a good time at Milan, but the only saving grace I have is I know he's a Chelsea boy. I know he's been a boyhood fan. So I'd love to see Tuchel put the arm around and say, look, Fikayo, look, I know you weren't treated right on the front. I promise you will play in this team. Because
he's a Flames fan as well, because he was born in Calgary, so I'm 100% behind that.
So I mean, like, it's a case of he's the kind of fellow we need, because, like, if we got a back three next season, I don't know if Silva will sign a contract extension. I hope he does. But if the back three is, you know, Tomori, Christensen, who deserves a mention as well, he's another player who's improved leaps and bounds under Tuchel. You know, Tomori, Christensen, and Rudiger. That's a very solid trio of centre halves there.
I don't think there's any doubt that Thiago Silva signs a contract extension next year.
He has to, I think. He's been outstanding, I think.
I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, you look at his reaction you know, during the Porto game. There's no way he doesn't sign a contract extension.
I love the bicycle kick clearance tonight as well.
Oh, it was just that guy is literally. You always hear people saying, like, you age like a fine wine, certain players, but that guy is just the epitome of world class still. In my opinion.
Yeah, I think with Tomori, I think that would be a hard sell for Tuchel, in fairness. I don't think he could guarantee Tomori anything like that with what's happening there at the moment. And also, you forget during the week, lads, as well, that apparently he is ahead of the race there in terms of Varane. That United have sort of backed out. I wouldn't say they've backed out of it, but they re-signed Eric Boye to a longer contract. So that's the level of which they're dealing with.
They even mentioned it on the American commentary today as well, saying that it looks like Varane is favourites to go to Chelsea, which I had no knowledge of beforehand. And checked it out at half time, and I was like, oh, okay, that's something.
I'm glad he take him now. So what I said about Tomori, look, I mean, I'd still gladly take Varane. I mean, you saw him tonight, super player, and even when he has the ball at his feet, he's so calm.
Yeah.
But isn't that something that Tuchel would be looking at and go, that's the kind of player I need, because I have my hard ass player like fucking Rudiger. I have,
the experience with Silva then as well.
Yeah.
It's
we spoke a lot last week actually on the transfer show about Varane because it broke late last week. So he came up a lot in conversations last week on our transfer show on the Dynamo Podcast Network if you want to check it out.
please do.
But yeah, I think, you know, if anything, if that's the case and that's what's evolving, you'd nearly expect Tomori to be sold, wouldn't you, to free up some of those funds to bring in Varane, because Varane ain't going to come cheap anyway, you know.
Well, it's a freebie, isn't it? So
yeah,
18 months left on his contract, I think they were saying.
Yeah, I don't think
so you probably get him on a cheap. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, but still, it's their cheap and our cheap are two very different things.
Well, if he's told Madrid he's gone, like they'll probably get about 30 million, 40 million out of him at least. You know what I mean?
Now, in order to, and he'll get a nice bonus if he sticks in an own goal next week.
Yeah, so like if he gets a, you know what I mean, if you sign him for say 40 million even, you know, you sell Tomori, I think the 25 million is the clause that they've agreed with. I mean, that's there you go. You're getting a player for what? 15 million.
Yeah,
it's, you know, a world class player. For
see if we can coax a deal out of Madrid. See if they'll accept 20 million and Danny Drinkwater.
Yeah. The way Madrid are going at the well, they'll want cash. They won't want they need the money.
So does Danny Drinkwater.
Let's quickly talk about Madrid. Obviously, Kroos and Modric, unbelievable, still unbelievable. Yeah. Can we say anything else about Karim Benzema? 12 years at the club now. Stats at least a goal in every 2 games over the 12 years. Absolutely.
4th highest goal scorer in Champions League history today. Yeah. Tied it up with one of my favorite players of all time, Raul.
Incredible.
2 goals behind Lewandowski. I don't know why I pulled these stats out of my head, lads. I just have a good memory.
But it's a case of though as well. I think with Benzema, I think he's almost had it a bit unfair at Madrid in the sense that you know, Ronaldo was just superhuman with his statistics. Ronaldo was superhuman with the way he plays. At any other club, he would have been the talisman with the numbers he's producing. And we've seen that since Ronaldo was gone. He's the main man now.
Well, here's one for you. Benzema was signed the same year that Kaká and Ronaldo were both signed. So they signed all 3 of those guys in the same year. So you could understand why that signing may have seemed underwhelming, considering he was coming from Lyon and was kind of like the hot kid in town. You know what I mean? He was like the rookie signing, but he stood the test of time. Like, and look at him now.
Yeah, it's mad because you look at, you know, the way sometimes we look at a player and they might sign for Chelsea or Liverpool or Man United and they go, that's never a Chelsea player or never a United player or never a Liverpool player.
Yeah.
You look when they sign Benzema and you go, never a Madrid player. He's never going to fit into the cliques and the corridors of that place. You know what I mean? And here we are 12 years on, outstanding, matching Raul. Incredible career there, you know, when you think about it. Like, and again, tonight pops up.
Goals.
And like that cushion header for that volley was just sublime when you think about it. Now,
no defense, but you can't defend that though.
Yeah.
No, because you know what it is? You never think it's going to happen. So you're not even thinking that way. What you're thinking there is he's going to take that down and lay it off to someone. Next thing he just swivels his body and he's burying it over Mendy.
But doesn't it show levels as well? Like the shot that he hit against the post, that was out of nowhere. Like you want your Timo Werners to do that. You know, and I think that's why I think you were right, Niall, to call for, and I commend you on that fucking site, you know, especially being a neutral fan watching it. That's why you want your Giroud on, because Giroud can produce something out of nothing. And I'm not saying Giroud, like that overhead goal against Porto, I mean, like that's case in point of what Giroud can just do. You know, he's that world-class player that can come on. Now, we know he's a bit part player now, but, you know, these are just, there's something about French strikers that just, they have something. It's a va-va-voom, isn't it?
There's just something about Giroud, though. Like, I was explaining to my brother who's not really like he's a casual fan. He watched Chelsea and he was saying, is Giroud really that good? I was like, well, he's one of those. He just seems to score whenever he plays. Like, I mean, in the run-in last season when we got Champions League football under Frank, I mean, he
scores
scored
when
I
he
think,
wants.
almost every game. Yeah, and I mean, like he doesn't score sitters, he doesn't score tap-ins. They're always like these little flicks or these extravagant headers or overhead kicks or these shots. But I think he's a fantastic player. And to be honest with you, I'm almost disappointed that ever since that goal he scored against Atletico, the bicycle kick, he hasn't really had much of a look in since then.
You see, I suppose look, the way I look at it is, it's so hard for us to let go as fans, right? Niall, you've had it with certain players at Liverpool. It's so hard for us to let go, but sometimes, you know that old adage, you got to trust the process. And like sometimes there's certain times you're going, there is no fucking process. What are you talking about? But I think with the Tuchel process, you can see what he's doing. Like I would much rather him invest in Timo Werner in that centre forward line, or Kai Havertz than Giroud, because at the end of the day, like Giroud might sign next year, he might not, he might fuck off to the US. But you want them to get familiar with, and that's the difference. I think managers like Lampard and say the likes of Zidane will always go back to the familiarity of proven players. Whereas that's what I really respect about Tuchel. It's like, no, this is what I'm doing. This is my project. I'm going to get these players familiar with. Now, if we need a goal with 10 minutes to go next week, I guarantee you Olivier Giroud's fucking name comes on the board. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, though, I've said it now, and I'll say it on air here. If Olivier Giroud, we reach Champions League final.
Tammy should be gone tomorrow.
Oh, he is gone. He is gone. He will be.
I've wanted Tammy gone for a while, considering he thought he was worth the same money as.
But I'm gonna tell you now, though, and it's I'm gonna say this live. If we make the Champions League final, Olivier Giroud scores the winning goal, I'm gonna get a tattoo of Giroud somewhere on my body. I just adore that man.
Well, we're going to do an episode on that if that happens.
Tattoo.
Why I get the tattoo?
Tattoo his face on your face, and then just try and get the same.
I don't have the handsome features. I can't pull that off. He's too beautiful for my face.
But you might be able to if you do it.
just get the quiff and stuff. But can I just point out? You mentioned commentary. I watched the game on Virgin Sport, and they had Jerry Armstrong, the Northern Irish guy who does La Liga, and. Yeah. Whenever he was mentioning Giroud, I swear to God, I don't know if you can look this up, but for the whole game, he called him Didier Giroud.
He's a bit tapped though, isn't he? Like he's been going on for a while. He's another one that can get one of them. Do you know what I mean?
Very biased to the Spanish teams as well.
Yeah.
He's very biased to fucking losing his mind. That's what I think he is. He's not all there. Like, God bless him.
You had a bad experience on commentary tonight too. Didn't you listen to your commentary?
Oh yeah, you wanted me to call that out. Yeah. So at the end of the game, I was watching it on CBS, the Americans, and Jamie Carragher, one that's been calling out the Super League and the Americans for ruining the game. Happy to get paid though to be on CBS and comment on the game, and he tried to say that this result will suit Real Madrid more than Chelsea, which I found hilarious. And they all kind of just called him out on it and just went, "What are you talking about? Like, you've played against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge." And he's like, Guillaume Ballack was on, and the girl, in fairness to her, I don't know her name. I've never watched it on CBS before. She says, Guillaume. Jamie seems to think that this result suits Real Madrid more. And he goes, I never said that. And everyone was like, and guess who they had on as well? Micah Richards, the biggest wind-up merchant. And he goes, yeah, you did. He goes, roll the footage back, lads. He definitely said it. And what's his name? What's your man's name? The former Roberto Martinez was on too, and he goes, come on, Jamie, you said this. And Guillaume Ballack just goes, I don't know why you think that this suits Real Madrid more. He goes, maybe it's the Liverpool bias, is it? And I was just like, there you go. It's like, so you want Real Madrid to win.
I always remember that years ago when Mourinho was on Sky Sports. He was saying, I remember when he was Chelsea manager, he says, if I ever leave Chelsea, I'd do Sky Sports so they have a Chelsea man in the booth and not just Liverpool.
Well, you weren't expecting Jamie Carragher to talk up Chelsea on the anniversary of a certain slip, were you?
No, well, that's a good point. Although then again, I wasn't expecting him. Although he did, Jamie Carragher redeemed himself with an absolutely brilliant one. He said, "I've been reading tweets, Guillaume, that you've been talking to Florentino Perez a lot."
Oh, yeah.
Recently, and because he was like, and you're asking him about such and such, and he goes, "Are you the man behind the Super League?"
I think
and Guillaume just turns around and goes, "I am not going to answer that."
I think Carragher and Neville are chasing a knighthood at this stage over this ESL, isn't it? It's
they really are. Like, it's funny because I just thought I'd throw that in because I haven't been on the upper tier during this whole Super League thing, and I choose to bury it now as well. I don't want it to be a conversation here either, because I think, Noel, you rightly put it at the very, very start that isn't it great to be talking about the football again? And I think tonight was just, even though it felt weird, it didn't feel like a Champions League semi-final, which is so strange. I think it's because they were in kids' playground playing football, but when you actually watch the game for what it was actually very exciting. You know what I mean? I think it was a good semi-final.
The only thing I'm upset about at the moment is like the only thing that upsets me about Chelsea's run to the final at the moment, hopefully run to the final, is I'd be at all the Champions League games. I think we're missing the fans still. Like, I would have been at, the game against Atletico, the game against Porto. I would have had a ticket.
That goes for all. That goes. The only thing that goes for all teams, though. I know we're talking about our team, and I'm going to play devil's advocate. We could say that. I mean, Liverpool could say that if they had, 44,000 fans at Anfield, that Real Madrid it might have been a different game.
I agree. I think Liverpool would have won had the fans been there.
I'm not trying to be fucking Mahatma Gandhi here, and it's just being real. Like, I think we can all kind of say that, and I do think that there is I think English clubs in general have a special relationship with their stadium.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yes. With their home stadium. And I think that's what benefits Chelsea. Those players will know exactly what was done at Stamford Bridge in the past with the Drogbas and, and Essiens and Lampards and stuff like that. And I think that's going to see us through next week. I would be very, very confident that we beat Real Madrid next week. I really would be.
I'm quite confident in the sense that, like, Tuchel, like, I know there's been one or two games.
I'm confident in our manager, yeah. Yeah,
but that's the thing. Like, I mean, there's been one or two games where I've said, "Oh, what's he doing tonight?" I've actually got a very good friend called Kieran, and whenever I say about the lineup, he's like, "No," he goes, "I trust Tuchel. Whatever he's picked, he has a reason for it." And
me too. I think he's the best manager on the planet right now as we speak.
The job he's done, taking us from where we were and complete another disarray, like, to where we are now, is incredible. But I think Tuchel will know what to do next week. Like, it's a simple case of, I know it might sound, stupid, but we just have to make sure Madrid don't score. That's it. If they don't score and we shut them out, that's it. And we've been quite good at shutting teams out lately.
Yes, that's what we have in our favor. I was actually you. That's a great segue into what my next point was, Alex. I honestly don't, and Noel, you can agree or disagree or not, because this was used last season. I don't think there's a team on the planet that is defensively better than Chelsea at the moment. I really don't.
I'd agree.
Well, certainly not a team that's had as big a turnaround in such a short period of time. Without a shadow
but I mean, if you're going on current form as well, Noel, like, Chelsea defensively are the best team on the planet.
We've also got the most clean sheets out of any club in the top 5 leagues this season.
Yeah. And that wouldn't have happened while Lampard was still there, because we were the worst.
Yeah.
So, like, we were shipping goals for fun. And I think last season, even in the league, I think we could see that nearly 60 goals in the league last season under Lampard. Yeah. But I mean, I've said to Niall in the past before, and I don't know if I said it to yourself, Ian, but I firmly believe in terms of Chelsea, I think we're a back three team. I just thought even last season under Lampard, when you looked at the games where we played a back three, we were by far better. I just think our players are set up better to play with that back three.
And he went back to the 4-4-2 again. We done it against Wolves. I think we beat Wolves 5-3 or 5-2. I think it was that Tomori belter last year.
Yes.
It was the same. Like, it was kind of one of those things, like, if we do concede, we're going to score more. Do you know what I mean? No, I think we're a top. Look, I just think Tuchel, as I said at the moment, I think he's like the second coming of Klopp when Klopp came into the league.
Yeah.
Well, not when he came into the league, but when he finally got Liverpool on all cylinders. I don't think there's been. I would dare say I don't think there's been a manager that's come into the Premier League, at that stage of the season and turn things around to this level.
Yeah, considering it was basically night and day, I think we were 10th when Frank got sacked and we looked completely out of sorts. I think we'd lost, I think it was like 6 out of the last 10 games we'd lost or something in the league, and it was atrocious.
Yeah.
And like the money that was spent as well. I mean, my point about Frank when he got sacked was, I said it to you on the show here now, this is, look, I don't understand how we had a team of players of that quality playing so poorly. I was saying, surely there has to be something to get the best out of these players. And Tuchel's come in and he's gotten the best out of everyone, even the fringe players, your Christensens, your Alonsos, your Rudigers, even Jorginho looks like a new man under him as well. So the fact he's come in and done that in such a short space of time, it's almost like just, flip the switch. And it's been incredible. I can't think of anybody who has just changed around like that and just basically night and day and said, you're actually all good players. Let's go out. And like the results he's had as well. I saw a stat that was pulled up recently. Like he's beaten this season. He beat Mourinho. He beat Klopp. He beat Simeone twice. He beat Pep Guardiola. He beat Ancelotti. And he's done all of that without conceding a goal against any of them.
Whereas, unfortunately, Lampard didn't beat any of the top teams. That was our biggest problem.
Yes.
It goes back to what Noel said. It's also man management. He's got into players' heads. He's kind of like players know he's the boss.
Yes.
Because he has that big German stature. You know what I mean?
He looks like a teacher.
Yeah,
or a headmaster or something.
Yeah, you see, we could use other words for it.
He's like a golfer when he puts that baseball cap on. He's like a golfer on the PGA circuit.
When I saw the cap and the jacket tonight, I was like,
he's quite entertaining though, isn't he? On press conferences, you know what I mean? Like
he's very clever.
He seems like a nice guy. He's got great English, and he's got. Like Klopp, you know what I mean? Yeah. He's got that kind of he's got that charm.
He has a touch of he has a touch of Mourinho when he was first at Chelsea at the press conferences.
But less arrogance.
Yes, he's very kind of laid back.
I would say more Klopp again, because as I say, like Klopp had that, you know what I mean? Like you only really saw, and that's the thing. Like I mean, there will come a time where we'll probably see the bad side of Tuchel, just like we see with Klopp sometimes.
He had a great line. One of his press, he was asking about Timo Werner. He says, we're reading reports Timo Werner's going to get out. We're reading reports he's leaving the summer. We're reading reports he's going to go to this club or that club. And Tuchel laughed and says, you shouldn't read that. You should read a book.
Yeah, he kind of has like an eccentric, endearing way about him, a bit like Ranieri, a little bit of Ranieri.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Yeah, so when I look at him and I listen to him, I think he's kind of weird, but he's weird in a way where I want to listen to him. That kind of way.
The thing is as well, though,
he's box office like.
Yeah, he is. But what does it for me as well, and I think we've been missing this. Like, I love Frank Lampard. Like, I mean, my favorite player growing up was Frank. But what used to crucify me was we'd be a goal down on the sideline, we wouldn't be playing well, and you see Frank like this.
You can always tell the nice guy Chelsea fan and the bad boy Chelsea fan, can't you? Because you've got Alex here, who's the nice Chelsea fan, and you've got Ian, who's the John Terry fan. And he's like, you know what I mean? It's like,
yes, but
don't bag him white, nice guy, and pick him.
Frank was always so. There you go. But Frank was always so. Even wash my hair for this. Frank was always so quiet on the sideline. But that's what I love Tuchel. Like you see, like we play a pass straight because Tuchel, he's like.
I'll be honest with you. The whole Frank Lampard thing, I never properly addressed it with Noel. I know you did. Noel knew it was too hard for me to do as well. And Noel, you know that Frank is one of my, like Frank, Didier, and JT are my all-time. They're my heroes.
Yeah.
I'm lucky enough to have grown up, probably a little bit older than Alex as well, that I got to see a lot of that 90s team as well. With the Vialis and Zolas and Dennis Wise and Di Matteo. I mean, Di Matteo for years was my fucking favourite player. I actually bleached my hair as a young lad just because Di Matteo did. Like, you know what I mean? But I guess the point I'm making is that, like, with Frank, I knew, and I said it to you, Noel, at the time. I was like, it pains me to say it, but he has to go. Like, I don't want him to, but there is no turnaround here. There is no turnaround. This level is just way too. It's way too big for him. If we were and no disrespect to Fulham, but if we were a Fulham, or we were like a Burnley or something, you will be allowed that time as a former legend. But like, I imagine Roman that was the most heartbreaking thing in the world.
Yeah.
The same way it was with Mourinho that time. There's just no. There's no. I mean, the rumors
there's no hiding.
yeah, like the
Oh,
rumors
yeah.
are next year that he's going to be the Celtic manager, and if Gerrard stays there as well, which he will, I think for a while. I think the Celtic job would be perfect for Lampard. That kind of job would be perfect. That's a
You saw it
level.
with Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah, that's a level. Exactly. Look how Brendan Rodgers benefited from that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think that's a perfect kind of level. And I know we're getting off topic here because it was Chelsea Real Madrid tonight, but I just wanted to add that in about Frank. I love Frank and I'll always love Frank. But I do think that is the difference in levels of management. When you look at someone like Tuchel, what he's come in, even if Chelsea lose to Real Madrid next week, which is no shame in losing to, you know, the goats when it comes to the Champions League.
There's definitely no shame in losing to Real Madrid. I'm just going to put that out there now. I'm a Liverpool fan.
Well, that's it. Like, there isn't. And if we go out, like, I mean, the fact that Tuchel got us to that semi-final and looks like he could possibly be, you know, be fighting for a top two at this stage, really, mathematically, and in an FA Cup final. I mean, that's to me, that's incredible, because the reason I wanted to bring that up earlier, that, like, have you seen a manager come in midway through this season like that? It's never been done before, because the likes of Gus Hiddink used to come in.
That's what I was going to say. Gus Hiddink is someone I
thought
of. Yeah.
But we didn't get to, we nearly got to the final, obviously, when we were robbed.
Well,
we were robbed against Barcelona, but like that was Henningbo, that Norwegian prick.
The only other example I can think of is Di Matteo.
Glad he fucking lost his job over that and got threatened. Fuck him.
Di Matteo was another example I could think of there.
Yeah,
same type of scenario, same kind of parallels, you know.
Yeah,
struggling, he comes in, and now look what we're doing now, though.
But again, we're fighting for a top two now under Tuchel, and there's actually an identity to Chelsea now.
Yeah.
Again, we were always relying on our legends to just come up trumps for us. Now we're looking at a young team that haven't been through the wars, and Tuchel's after bringing them into the war and saying, right, stand and deliver. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah. I've said on a couple of shows now, I really believe that Chelsea will be the team next season to push City all the way without a shadow of a doubt. I said it earlier on shows. If Tuchel had to come in August or in September, you'd be challenging City this season. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I believe so.
I would agree. I think that he's remarkable. The whole league is saying that, you know, he always has a way around things. Like, you know, he knows exactly what to do. It seems whatever lineup he goes, it's the correct lineup. Whatever kind of system he plays to neutralize the opposition, it's the correct system. And I'm loving him so far. Like, I was just kind of looking at him and his stats and just thinking to ourselves, how did we get lucky enough to basically get this guy in? Like, the fact he was sacked on Christmas Eve by PSG. How lucky are we that we were able to get him in on the free, like a day after sacking Frank? We're very fortunate.
I had people say to me, I don't want Tuchel in, I want this. And you heard the rumors of Shevchenko would come in because he's doing well with Ukraine and all this. And you were going, Tuchel's available. What are you
will admit, I was actually upset that Pochettino wasn't available, because I wanted Poch personally. He would have been my choice.
I would take Tuchel over Poch any day.
But again, I know I mentioned earlier, my mate Kieran, to be fair, I said, I don't know how I feel. My mate Kieran said, wait till you see. He says Tuchel was his number one choice. As soon as we got Tuchel, my mate Kieran said, this man is a genius. Just wait and watch.
I said it to Noel, didn't I, Noel?
Yeah, I think well, a number of things I want to mention here. First, Ian, you were very early in calling for Lampard needed to be moved out, in fairness to you. The other thing that I'd say as well, in terms of Pochettino, I think he's probably just a little bit too nice to manage that group of players. Because I think, as you see with Chelsea, when Chelsea are successful and challenging and on these kind of runs, there's a nastiness to their desire to be winners. Let's put it that way, because they just have a kind of a way about them, a demanding way about them that comes both from the players and from the manager. And I don't think you kind of get that with Pochettino in terms of trying to manage. Now, I know he's gone into PSG and he's done a fantastic job there and stuff like that, but he's dealing with a great squad of players, you know what I mean? But I just, you know yourself with PSG, I mean, how much day-to-day man management really actually goes on there. You know, when you're picking that team and stuff like that, it's kind of like the Messi effect with Barcelona that was there for years. You knew Messi, Xavi, and Iniesta, all these players were going to pick themselves anyway. But I think with Chelsea, if you look at your front line and you have your two banks of three there, and trying to keep them all happy and man manage them and bring them back up a level. Some of them had a dip in form, as we said earlier. I think that kind of creates that situation where you need a manager, like I said earlier, that's kind of a bit eccentric and a bit crazy, but also kind of a bit level-headed in that moment when it's needed. But also brings that craziness when it needs to come out. And from a player point of view, they respect that they understand that there is this kind of level to him that can come out, like that Jekyll and Hyde kind of thing, going on with him, that like he carries a lot of respect from those players. Poch, I'm not sure whether he would carry that level of respect or not. And that's not to devalue him in any way. I think he's a really, really good manager. But I just think
he is used to failure with Tottenham. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, but I mean, some people would say getting them to the Champions League final was an outstanding job. I know they didn't win it, but the fact that he got them to the final,
still failed.
Well, you know, they do like release a merchandise saying that they got the final. So,
God, the Carabao Cup final.
It's the bottlers. You know, Chelsea like to go and revolutionize things like last week, and we fucking basically put a full stop in the Super League. That's what our fans did. Tottenham's fans went out and played a fucking concert and tried to reenact Lewis Capaldi, the fat fucks. So all I'll say is, fuck you, Tottenham. Fuck you, Poch. We got Tuchel, and I'm a happy man.
What I'll say is, though, speaking of Poch and Tuchel, I think it would be the ultimate poetic justice.
On this show every week, lads.
It'd be the ultimate poetic justice if we make the Champions League final against PSG, and if Tuchel beats the team that sacked him on Christmas Eve.
And you know what? Wonderful. If Poch beats us, and that happens, then we are failures. But guess what? That's not going to happen. We get to that final, we win.
I think so. I think Tuchel knows the PSG side inside out, and we've shown we can beat City as well. So, like, I mean, if we reach the final, I think we can do it, man. I think that we're definitely the underdogs if we reach the final. But look, we're always the underdogs teams of the Champions League.
We're not underdogs in anything here. We are the overdogs. We are going to win that. That's exactly what we're going to do. This is our team. This is Chelsea. I just want to say actually quickly before people know what I'm at here. People that don't, fuck them. But it's real simple. The fact is, you look at what Tuchel has achieved in this short space of time, right?
Yeah.
For pretty much the second half of the season, and it wasn't a half. It's been a cluster of a season anyway because of the arrangement with no fans, with the whole Rona thing and all that. We get that. But in all seriousness, I think Noel has summed up Tuchel better than I can, even, to be honest. He's come in, he's done that whole media thing, he's got it perfect. But if you look at what he did, was he had all the recognized faces, let's say, right? He had all the fucking, he had Alonso came out of the darkness. This reminded me of the Di Matteo season, actually. And what Lampard did was he turned into Villas-Boas, unfortunately.
Yeah, he did.
By isolating players that he didn't need to. Like, Anelka's treatment in the end by Villas-Boas was probably one that haunts me the most, because I love Nicolas Anelka. I think Nicolas Anelka enjoyed his best moments in his career with Chelsea. It's the team that he spent the longest with also.
Big part of our double winning season too.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was just isolated. You go play with the kids. And I think that Lampard did that to some players as well.
Did he do the same with Alex?
Yeah, he did. Alex and Anelka. I thought that was very, very disappointing. But Villas-Boas is a fucking hack as well, so don't mind that little prick. I'm not saying Lampard's exactly at that level, but he was starting to do those certain type of things, and I think that's pressure getting on top of you. That's all I'm saying. Whereas I think the fact that Tuchel was able to come in and go, Alonso, you're going to play for me today, blah, blah, blah. You're going to play for me today. And now look at how he's slowly weaned in. Even Emerson gets an old game or two now and then and scores a goal.
And an old goal, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like he is the perfect manager. And obviously, I believe he is, like he has kind of a psychology background and stuff like that. So he obviously knows what he's at in that sense.
He almost reminds me of like a Ned Flanders character. He just seems like the nicest man, but like this guy's going to get stuff done if he wants. He probably, the same as Flanders, probably has the big 8-pack underneath as well. He's just like a wonderful human being.
I'd say so, yeah.
He just knows how to do stuff.
I look like a skinny boy, but I'm very ripped, yeah.
But like, that's the thing. He just seems like, just a nice guy, but at the same time, he has that demeanor about him of, I don't want to cross him.
Well, yeah, but I mean, he's a big fucking 6'5" German.
Yeah.
Like if he was around in 1942, he'd be wearing all black. Do you know what I mean? Hello, we're here to meet you. We're coming to get what we want.
Not inglorious, just glorious.
Oh, just glorious.
He is a glorious man.
But you know what I mean? I'm teasing, but at the same time, it is very refreshing to see. I just think he's a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
I think you're right, Alex. He has that Mourinho-esque about him, but not that kind of arrogance.
But it's the first time since Conte that I've seen, since we won the title on the Conte, it's the first time I've seen, a top manager in it with a lot of swagger come in, because I know we won the FA Cup in Conte's last season, but he lost his swagger. When he wasn't back to the transfer market, you really saw Conte get lost his swagger. And I loved Conte. To be honest with you, I was such a huge fan of Conte. That's when I started, properly going to games. I went to like 5 or 6 games.
He was one of my favorite players growing up, believe it or not.
Yeah. I adored Conte, but it's been a while. Like we had Sarri in there, and then we had Frank in there. So it's been a while since we've had, that kind of, my opinion, world-class manager with that kind of, elitist mindset, and with that kind of, knows what he's at. Like you look at him and go, okay, this guy knows exactly what he's doing.
So looking towards next week.
I'll let you take this in.
What's the thinking?
Yeah, just looking towards next weekend, next season. I just want to add one thing in before we look towards next week. I read something recently, and Noel, you can probably do this on the transfer show, because that would probably be the best place for it. But I think any team that touches Haaland when he's demanding 600 grand a week or whatever, I think is insane. I think I hope he stays at Dortmund and is on what he's on, and he fails next season if that's what he's asking for.
Yeah,
because I think that's just fucking disgusting. I think that's Super League mentality, right?
I personally would love us to sign Harry Kane if we can get him.
No, I think realistically the Lukaku one is more realistic, and I think I know Tuchel is looking at Lukaku again, and I think Lukaku would come back to Chelsea in a heartbeat, considering that's his boyhood club, and coming home at 28 years old after learning his trade, and then fucking sticking it to United, getting 30 goals a season. I'd love to see that. I think that would be more realistic, and I think realistically, if we're touching Dortmund next year, I can honestly see the Jadon Sancho move to Chelsea happening. I think that's going to be one to keep an eye on. Not that I have any hot takes or anything, lads. I'm just a guy in Ireland. Yeah. But I could see that.
Not like Frank when he was not like Frank when he was at the transfer window and was like he was in a restaurant. What do you want? I want rice.
Yeah. I think Declan Rice can stay where he is or go to United. That's no problem. Yeah. I know he's friends with Mason Mount and all, but I'll be happy to keep Kante and Jorginho and Kovacic. Thank you very much.
Fair.
But I think Jadon Sancho, that's the one I'm predicting next year. I think that's the one I think that will come to fruition. Yeah. But next week, being honest with you, I think it's going to be one of those games. It wouldn't surprise me if Real Madrid score first. It wouldn't, and then you see that Chelsea come back and do what they've done against Napoli, and get to that final. I'm fully convinced that the boys are going to get to the final next week. So.
If I can make a prediction, because it's kind of a strange one, because you're in the same boat as me, being a Chelsea fan all these years. It's been so strange with the Atletico tie and the Porto tie. and even the group stage, it's been so strange seeing Chelsea do things straightforward in Europe. It's been so strange seeing us, not needing that away goal or not, holding out at the end.
Though, on the front foot, it's
yes, as well.
Weird.
But if I can make a score prediction for next week, I will predict
3-1 is my prediction, by the way.
I will go 2-1 Chelsea on the night. I have a sneaky feeling Madrid might score first.
Yeah,
I'm going to go 2-1 Chelsea on the night. And you know what? I'm going to go out. I'm going to say my memo. I'm going to get big Ollie Giroud score the winner.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with a 0-0 and Chelsea go through. I think Tuchel will just dampen down a sort of a tactical masterclass and just play it out as he's been doing a lot of this season.
I like that though.
That's what
my mate Dennis texted me going, I really hope it's a good game. This looks like I hope it's the most boring nil I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
This is how Niall takes over the Dynamo Podcast Network, by the way, is by giving me a heart attack next week. I'm literally sitting there with no nails.
No hands. You've chewed your hand off.
Yeah. I predicted even the other night on the preview show. I didn't see a lot of goals in either of these ties. I just think it's like a tactical sort of battle, really. We'll leave the goals to our friends tomorrow night. They can play out the 4-3s and the 5-4s if they want.
I can't wait to watch it. It's one of those games you just grab a bag of popcorn and sit there and go, you know what, just entertain. It'd be like turning on FIFA and let's have a match.
Yeah, absolutely. Lads, pleasure as always. Great to jump on doing match reaction. Good to see you guys smiling about football. Good for you guys, Chelsea back to form. Hopefully my team, Liverpool, will get some of these players back and we'll be a bit of a force next season. But until then, lads, good luck next week. I'm sure that we'll have you back on next week without a shadow of a doubt to see what transpires. As always, head over to YouTube, Dynamo Podcast Network, smash that subscribe and bell notification button. Audio version on Anchor. You know how to contact us at this stage. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Get on it. Hit us up with topics. If you want to appear on the show, smash us up there with DMs and PMs. Gladly have you on. Cheers, boys.
Smash that bell notification.